Hello, everyone. Welcome to a meeting of the Boston Region Metropolitan Planning Organization. I'm David Moeller, and I represent Secretary Monica Tibbetts-Nutt here. You are invited to participate in our transportation planning process regardless of your race, color, national origin, including limited English proficiency, religion, creed, gender, ancestry, ethnicity, disability, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, veteran status, or background. Read the full notice of your rights and protections at www.boston_MPO.org/MPO_DISCRIMINATION. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Zoom products are compliant with exceptions with the following standards: Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1 Level AA standards and revised Section 508 standards. If you require any additional accommodations in order to participate fully in this meeting, or if you have any technical difficulties, please contact Sam Taylor of the MPO staff at staylor@ctps.org or 857-702-3702 or via the chat box. All participants will join the meeting with muted microphones. Please rename yourself to include your first name, last name, and affiliation. After roll call, board members may mute and unmute themselves. Always remain muted unless actively speaking. To participate in the discussion, please select the raise hand function. Find this by clicking either on the participants button at the bottom of the screen, and a window will pop up with a raise hand button, at the bottom, or the reactions button in the toolbar. The chair will then call on participants. If you're on the phone, you can use *9 to raise your hand. First item on the agenda is the roll call. Dave?
Thank you. I will call on MassDOT Seat 1.
This is David Moeller. I am here.
MassDOT Seat 2.
Good morning, John Bouchard, representing Highway Administrator Jonathan Gulliver, present.
Good morning, MassDOT Highway Division. Next, the MBTA.
Good morning, Sandy Johnson, representing General Manager Phil Lang in the MBTA.
Good morning, Sandy. Regional Transportation Authorities, Metro West Transit Authority.
Good morning, this is Tyler Tarasi representing Administrator Jim Nee for the Metro West Regional Transit Authority here.
Good morning, Tyler. Massport, please. Just gonna search chats also. Okay, we're moving on to MAPC.
Good morning, Eric Barassa with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council.
Good morning. MBTA Advisory Board.
Hannah Swolakowski, MBTA Advisory Board.
Hello. Advisory Council.
Good morning, Leonard Diggins, Advisory Council here.
Good morning, Len. City of Boston, Seat 1, please.
Good morning, this is Jen Rowe representing Mayor Michelle Wu in the City of Boston.
Morning, Jen. City of Boston, Seat 2.
Good morning, this is Matt Moran representing the City of Boston and Mayor Michelle Wu.
Hi, Matt. Long time. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be back.
At large. Excellent. At large City of Everett.
Good morning. Jay Monty representing Mayor DiMaria and the City of Everett.
Good morning. At large City of Newton.
Good morning. David Kozos representing Mayor Ruth-Ann Fuller in the City of Newton.
Good morning. At large Town of Arlington. Next is at large Town of Brookline.
Morning, Erin Chute representing Select Board Chair Bernard Green for the Town of Brookline.
Good morning, Erin. Inner Core Committee, City of Somerville.
Morning, David. This is Brad Rawson representing City of Somerville, Mayor Valentine, and Inner Core. I'm expecting Tom Bent, so there may be a handoff on the board seat as the meeting proceeds. Thank you.
Roger, good to know. Thank you, Brad. Minuteman Advisory Group on Interlocal Coordination, Town of Acton. Okay. Metro West Regional Collaborative, City of Framingham.
Dennis Giambetti, representing Metro West Region and City of Framingham, Mayor Charles Zazinski.
Hello, hello. North Shore Task Force, City of Beverly.
Good morning. This is Darlene Wynn representing the North Shore Task Force and Mayor Michael Cahill.
Good morning. North Suburban Planning Council, Town of Burlington.
Good morning. This is John Strauss representing the Town of Burlington, Micah Spayo, Select Board Chair, and the North Suburban Planning Council.
Thank you, and good morning, John. South Shore Coalition, Town of Hull.
Good morning, Chris Diorio representing Hull Select Board Chair Erwin Nessoff.
Welcome. Southwest Advisory Planning Committee, Town of Rentham.
Rachel Benson representing Swamp and Rentham.
Morning. Three Rivers Interlocal Council, Town of Norwood.
Good morning, Tom O'Rourke from the Town of Norwood representing the Church subregion.
Good morning. Next, we have Federal Highway Administration.
This is Anthony Jones for Federal Highway Administration.
Hello, Anthony. And finally, Federal Transit Administration. I'm going to just go back. Is there anyone on the roll that I have not acknowledged? Okay, with that calls the roll. Back to you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Next item on the chair's report, next item on the agenda is the chair's report. As many of you may know, the Trump administration has recently decided to require cooperation with ICE as a prerequisite of signing contracts on discretionary grants. I bring this up today because MAPC this week received a contract extension draft for the Safe Routes for All grant for the MPO. And I think I'll turn it over to Eric to talk about that. Eric?
Yeah, so it is our understanding that there may be litigation between the Commonwealth and USDOT over some of these terms and conditions. And I think other states are also looking into this. There may be some coordination with attorneys generals across the country. And so MAPC will not be executing any contracts on behalf of the Boston MPO until these issues are resolved.
Thank you, Eric. Questions from the members? Lynn Diggins.
No questions, just to say I support the position of the MEPC. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Brad Rawson.
Thank you, Chair. I want to echo the appreciation for the hard work and the coordination of MEPC, MPO, Mass DOT, and others. Many cities, including Somerville, are struggling with these exact same risk questions. And I would ask if there is a space for any knowledge sharing, whether it's an executive session of some kind, which is not a tradition that we really have around here. But I do think it's of critical importance, Chair, that municipalities, subregions, regional partners, and state agencies are aware of one another's learning on these sensitive issues. So would welcome any guidance that you or others can offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and echoing everyone else's appreciation for this information. We also received just this morning, I think, similar information about our SS4A grant, and would certainly appreciate, as Brad mentioned, kind of forum for coordination, perhaps an executive session. Also trying to follow along with conversations happening in NACTO, which I'd love to be able to share that with other members who may not be a part of that organization.
All right. So Eric Dagan, since you guys are general counsel for MAPC basically functions as general counsel for MassDOT unless until we need an outside counsel. And someone would have to research the ability to go into executive session and how you do that for the MPO. So Eric, Tegan, can you take that for offline and see if and how that is possible?
Yes, we will do that.
There you go. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, thank you all very much. Next item on the agenda is the Executive Director's Report. Tegan?
Thank you, David. Did you want to make a quick announcement about the agenda, or would you like me to
Oh
just?
yeah, I'm sorry, Tegan, I totally
it's okay.
forgot. Item number, what had been, I believe, item number, I don't see it on there. Anyway, the presentation on the SS4A grant is delayed. It has no relationship to what we just discussed under the chair's report. It is just a function of some outside issues got in the way of getting it ready in time. So it won't be happening today. So if you're here to listen to the SS4A presentation, I apologize for the late notice, but it will be coming up at a future agenda meeting. Take it.
Okay, thanks, David. I'll take it away in terms of the executive director's report. Before I get into what was originally planned in the slides, I had a couple of announcements that I wanted to make, some related to what we're hearing today and others are new. First of all, please note that somebody did initiate AI meeting notes. And so if you have any concerns or questions about that, you can reach out to staff. We're working on sort of a consistent policy and way that we approach this at these meetings in the future. But just good practice and transparency indicates that we should just note that for you all and give you an opportunity to express concern if you have it. So chat staff if you have any questions. In addition, I just wanted to clarify a little bit more on the Vision Zero work coming up because the contract that we received was related to the amendment to be able to extend these SS4A grant work, funded work, past the end of June. And since we are not able to have that contract signed, that does mean that we are going to continue with the strategy I mentioned in a report a few meetings ago, perhaps, where we're pursuing a really accelerated approach to come up with a product that is, we hope meets the requirements of the grant and the needs of the region, but will be very rapidly pursued in the next month and a half. So while we could not present today, as David said, due to some uncontrolled circumstances, we will be coming to you with a lot of substance in the next several meetings to be able to sort of advance that, the Vision Zero work with you all. And then the last thing I wanted to do before I got into my regular items was just report that I just got back last night. I attended for the first time a joint event held by the National Association of MPOs, AMPO, and the National Association of Regional Councils, which is NARC. And that joint event was intended to engage MPO and regional council leaders in Infrastructure Week in DC. So it was a really excellent opportunity to be able to coordinate with other leaders in this sort of regional space about the challenges and opportunities for MPOs and regions and the really important role that we play in working to ensure that federal investments are effective at the regional and local level. You know, as you've heard me describe in other forums, MPOs were created in the 70s to ensure that there are local voices shaping the use of federal transportation dollars in our regions. And while we look very different across the country, MPOs look very different because they're sort of localized versions of what's believed to be the needed collaboration to be able to accomplish those goals. We talked about some really important common themes this week in the context of the upcoming transportation reauthorization. And so I wanted to just sort of flag a few of those for this groups for your awareness. There's a lot of discussion about the bipartisan recognition of the importance and efficacy of MPOs as a conduit for those local voices in transportation investments. One of the themes was also around how important regional perspectives are in bringing data-informed planning to challenges that cross municipal boundaries, but that also may vary across the state and so have different kind of emphasis in regional spaces. One of the themes was really around how data-driven processes that MPOs engage in help build consensus. Another was talking a lot about the broadly experienced challenge across the country in delivering medium and smaller projects that are so important to local voices and municipalities and the MPO's roles in supporting improved project delivery in those spaces. And then also lastly, the need for regionally specific goals and measures to ensure that the investments do really have value in the context of what MPOs are intended to accomplish. So it was really a wonderful event, and I'm looking forward to continuing to engage with AMPO and other leadership across the country on these themes, and happy to keep the conversation going at our MPO level as well. Happy to answer any questions when we get to that point. But first, if we can go to the next slide, please. So I have a few engagement updates, staffing updates, and then we'll go on to today's agenda. So bear with me, there are a couple of good announcements in this list. Next slide, please. So first, we did have a specific request at the last MPO meeting to provide a bit more of a recap of the recent transit working group meeting. So that was actually held on April 24th, and we had a presentation from Patricia Cahill at MassDOT, whose team has been working on a statewide transit services map. This has been a really highly requested project from regional stakeholders because in the future, this map could be used as a way to help identify transit service gaps and potential connections, which we know to be a need that lots of stakeholders have expressed. There was also a really great, robust discussion during that working group meeting about potential applications for the data. And then second, I want to bring to this board regular updates on the development of the new Community Advisory Council. We had a presentation about this at the last meeting, but as you all know, we're now in the sort of the membership application stage and want to keep you informed. So far, we've received 20 complete applications for membership from a variety of stakeholders that include municipalities, community-based organizations, and members of the public. We've also been in touch with several other stakeholders who've expressed interest in applying, and we're continuing to share information about the Community Advisory Council across our various communication channels and to work to solicit additional applications. So please also help us by spreading the word to help get more applications in by sharing the applications form with your networks and encouraging members of your community to explore the opportunity. And you can direct any questions about this to the Public Engagement Program Manager, Stella Jordan, at sjordan@ctps.org. Next slide, please. Sorry about that. I should have gone next slide earlier. Keep going, please. All right. So, and actually that last slide was out of date. So already because we've been receiving applications in pretty quickly. So just moving on to some staffing updates. First of all, wanted to highlight that Lauren McGee, who is, you can see on this meeting, joined our agency back in June of 2024 as an assistant planner with the MPO activities team. And while she's been in that role, she's made really significant contributions to key environmental planning and air quality initiatives at the MPO. And now we're very happy to announce that on May 19th, just in a few days, she'll begin her new role as environmental planner for the organization, focusing on the work that lies ahead to ensure that these initiatives continue and evolve in a way that's thoughtful and consistent with the vision and goals that have been established for the region. And then also, we will be hosting a fellow this summer. Hannah Jin has been awarded the Community Service Fellowship from the Harvard Graduate School of Design. And we are pleased that she will be joining us in the MPO Planning and Policy team as an intern from June through August. She's currently pursuing a Master of Urban Planning at Harvard with a focus on climate resilience and equitable mobility. So during her internship, she'll focus on supporting our environmental and transportation access. Next slide, please. So for today's agenda, next slide, please. The chair already made an announcement about one of our items being removed. We will continue the Vision Zero update conversations very shortly at additional meetings. So for today, we really have 2 action items related to an amendment and an adjustment. So the first is Amendment 11, and this would be a vote to endorse after it's been out for public comment. And then the second would be to ask to vote to endorse TIP Adjustment 3, which includes new community transit grant vehicle awards and the reallocation of some state matching funds for some CATA, Cape Ann Transportation Authority projects. And then we'll have a short discussion just to kind of remind us an overview of the public review timelines for certification documents and amendments as defined in our MPO public engagement plan. Next slide, please. So for the next meeting, we'll hold it on June 5th. It'll be virtual. This will be a significant one. We do anticipate action items related to releasing the draft federal fiscal year 2026 UPWP, our annual work plan for the region's planning work. And we also expect to ask you to endorse the federal fiscal year 26 to 30 TIP, which has been out for public comment. And then we hope to continue with our Vision Zero updates. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to turn it over to any questions.
Thank you, Tegan. Any questions for Tegan at this time? Lynn Diggins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just a quick comment regarding the AI note taking. I appreciate you letting us know, that that's happening. But given that these meetings are recorded, given that someone could easily, take that recording and pump it into whatever AI, platform they're using to generate notes. I'm totally fine, with it, but I just figured I'd let you know that. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. Any other comments or questions for Tegan? Seeing none, next item on the agenda is public comments. Are there any public comments at this time? Seeing and hearing none. Are there any committee chairs reports? Jen Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The TIP Process Engagement and Readiness Committee meets this afternoon at 1 p.m. We have 3 major items on the agenda. First, we'll review a relatively small number of changes that staff anticipate between the draft TIP that's out for public review and the final document that the full board will vote to endorse on June 5th. Second, we'll begin debriefing this year's TIP development by going back in time a bit to this fall, this past fall, taking a look at some of the challenges that we anticipated, the interventions that we'd put in place, and some of the aspirations we had for the upcoming cycle. That debrief will continue at our June 12th TIP committee meeting, informed by a survey that staff will distribute to all MPO board members. So I encourage everyone to take a look and contribute. And then the final item, Adrienne is going to share some research on how long it tends to take for projects to progress through the MassDOT process. Those findings will then inform future committee recommendations, specifically some of the new expectations around milestones that projects will be expected to reach to first enter the TIP and then to stay in their initially programmed federal fiscal year. As always, we welcome all MPO board members to join and participate in the meeting. So look forward to seeing many of you there.
Thank you, Jen. Any questions for Jen? Seeing none. Next is Chris Clem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, everyone. The Unified Planning Work Program Committee is planning to meet virtually on Thursday, May 29th, 2025. The main agenda item at that meeting will be a discussion and review of the draft FFY 2026 UPWP, and we hope to make a recommendation to the MPO for the following meeting on June 5th, so they can release it for a full public comment period. I expect staff will share an agenda and link to committee members shortly. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions for Chris? Seeing none, the next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of April 3rd. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the minutes? And please state your name for the record when making the motion. Eric Barassa.
Eric Barassa, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 3rd MPO meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second? Tom Bent.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Are there any comments, questions, suggestions? Seeing and hearing none, please call the roll.
Certainly. David Moeller.
Yes.
John Bouchard.
John Bouchard, yes.
John Romano. Once again, calling for a vote by John Romano. No problem. I will return. Sandy Johnston.
Sandy Johnston, yes.
Tyler Tarasi.
Tyler Tarasi, yes.
Eric Barassa.
Eric Barassa, yes.
Hannah Switlakowski.
Hannah Switlakowski, yes.
And Diggins.
Diggins, yes.
Jen Rowe.
Jen Rowe, yes.
Matt Moran.
Clear.
I will return to Matt Moran. Jay Monty.
Jay Monty, yes.
David Kozis.
David Kozis, yes.
Aaron Shute.
Aaron Shute, yes.
Bet.
Yes. Tom Benton, yes.
Thank you. I'm also acknowledging a vote by John Romano as yes. Then Kristen Guichard,
Kristen Guichard, yes.
Jim Betty,
Betty, yes.
Darlene Nguyen,
Darlene Wynn, yes.
John Strauss,
John Strauss, yes.
Diorio,
Chris Diorio, yes.
Rachel Benson,
Rachel Benson, yes.
and Tom O'Rourke.
Tom O'Rourke, yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Next item on the agenda is the action item for the approval of FF 25 to 29, amendment number 11 to the tip. Ethan Lapointe.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. I'm Ethan Lapointe. I am the manager of the Transportation Improvement Program for the Boston Region MPO. We can go on the next slide. As was just mentioned, this is the 11th amendment to the federal fiscal years 2025 to 29 tip. Just as a refresher on the content of Amendment 11, this amendment included changes to both the federal fiscal years 2025 statewide highway program and the 2025 transit program. On the transit program side, those changes include 4 new community transit grants, the removal of 1 project for the Metro West Regional Transit Authority, and I'll reiterate that that project was a prospective application to the SMART grant program for federal highway that was not awarded. So the removal of that project just reflects the fact that the discretionary grant was not awarded. It was not a funded capital project with formula funding, just to make that distinction. And also changes across the MBTA's capital program to reflect their latest capital investment plan or CIP updates for federal fiscal year 2025. It's also worth noting that within the transit program, there were other changes and parallel changes made within the statewide highway programs for the flexing of federal highway formula carbon reduction funding between MassDOT to the MBTA for bus electrification efforts as well at the Quincy Bus Facility modernization and the procurement of some 40-foot battery electric buses. If we can go on to the next slide, I'd like to note quickly what was in the statewide highway program list, along with one proposed change for this amendment. The statewide highway program changes reflected any delays, removal, or other changes for projects currently funded within federal fiscal year 2025 as a result of the 2026 to 30 TIP development process. Now, one of the projects that was initially listed in this amendment for removal from the statewide highway program in fiscal 25 to be shifted to federal fiscal year 2026 in the next TIP was the intersection improvements at Route 28 and Chickatobit Road in Milton. We are proposing that as part of this amendment, this project be removed from the amendment and keep its position as funded within federal fiscal year 2025 as the readiness situation and permitting process for this project continues to develop over the coming months. There may still be other changes proposed to this project at a later date. It is worth noting that this amendment not only include a proposal to change the readiness status, but also the cost status of this project as well. This proposal here just removes that whole change for the project cost and readiness wholesale from the amendment. If we can go on to the next slide. As an amendment, Amendment 11 had a public comment period for 21 days, spanning April 21st to May 12th at 5 p.m., though staff did not receive any public comments related to this amendment during the comment period. If we can go on to the next slide. And the next slide, please. Staff are requesting that the board votes to endorse Amendment 11 minus that proposed delay and cost change for the intersection improvements at Route 28 and Chickatobit Road in Milton. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Ethan. Questions for Ethan? John Bouchard, do you have a question or a comment? Oh, never mind. Questions or comments from anyone? Seeing none, can I get a motion and a second to approve the amendment as presented today without the removal of Route 28 at Chickatobit Road? Eric Barassa.
Eric Barassa, I'll make the motion to approve the amendment presented today without the inclusion of those 2 projects.
One project.
That one. 2 roads, 1 project, Chickatobit and.
Yeah, one project, yeah. Lindigan.
Leonard Diggins seconds the motion.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Please call the roll.
Certainly,
Sorry,
David
John
Muller.
Bouchard, did you have a comment? Wait, John Bouchard, did you have a
Yeah,
comment?
sorry, David, I must have
No
hit
worries,
the
John.
lower hand. But I just wanted to make a comment. Thank you for the opportunity. The Milton project at Chickatobit Road, we have a ledge briefing this week and a public info meeting next week. And we're still working through, as Ethan had said, the permitting. And at this time, we're holding the fiscal 25 date, but we're going through, our public outreach process. And just wanted to clarify, that it was mistakenly added to this Amendment 11 for removal. We're not at that process yet. That's all.
Yeah.
And
And
answer
to be
any
clear-
questions to that
Yeah.
effect.
And to be clear, that was MassDOT's mistake, not the MPO staff.
Right.
Yeah, we accidentally included something we shouldn't because it's moving through a process. Okay, so the motion has been made and seconded, so please call the roll.
Certainly, beginning with David Muller,
Yes.
John Bouchard,
John Bouchard, yes.
John Romano, next is Sandy Johnston,
Sandy Johnson, yes.
Tyler Terasi,
Tyler Terasi, yes.
Eric Barassa,
Eric Barassa, yes.
Anna Switlikowski,
Hannah Swilikowski, yes.
Thank you. And I'm also acknowledging John Romano's vote through message. And next is Morgans
Diggins, yes.
and Rowe,
Jen Rowe, yes.
Matt Moran,
Matt Moran, yes.
Jay Monty,
Hey, Monty, yes.
David Kozis,
David Kozis, yes.
and Shoot,
Shoot, yes.
Tom Bent,
Tom Benton, yes.
Guichard,
Kristen Guichard, yes.
Dennis Giambetti,
Dennis Giambetti, yes.
Darlene Nguyen,
Darlene Nguyen, yes.
John Strauss,
John Strauss, yes.
Yorio,
Mysterio, yes.
Rachel Benson, this is Tom O'Rourke,
Tom O'Rourke, yes.
for Rachel Benson as well.
Check. Rachel Benson, yes. Sorry if it didn't come through before.
Not a problem. Thank you very much. With that motion carries as well, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is action item for FFY 2025, a tip adjustment number 3. Ethan LaPointe.
Right. Thank you for the next proposed change for the federal fiscal years 2025-29 tip. This is adjustment 3. We can go on to the next slide. As a tip adjustment, this proposal would not incorporate a 21-day public comment period due to the nature of the changes in the adjustment. Specifically, adjustment 3 includes changes to the federal fiscal year 2025 transit program to reflect some reallocations and additional allocations solely of state funding by the Cape Ann Transportation Authority to some of their capital projects, along with some additional awards for funding and operating and vehicle procurement rather for the MassDOT Community Transit Grant Program. Now, it's worth noting that historically community transit grant awards have previously been programmed via tip amendments. The most or latest MassDOT tip and STIP revision procedures, however, only require tip adjustments to be conducted for community transit grant projects, given that the funding that provides these through the Mobility Assistance Program is already listed within the STIP. And these are functionally, to my understanding, sub-allocations of that funding. Now, if we can go on to the next slide, I'll get into the individual projects contained within this adjustment. And on the next slide, please. Starting off with those changes I mentioned to CADA's capital projects, the first being the rehabilitation and renovation of their administration and operations facility, which is proposed for a reduction of $50,000 from $551,000 to $501,000 approximately, solely to reallocate their Regional Transit Authority capital funding to other CADA efforts, specifically CADA's paratransit software upgrades line item. Now, this other line item is also seeing a change in the scope. The project is actually one that the MPO had voted to fund with a combination of federal and state matching funding from CADA back during the federal fiscal years 2025 to 29 TIP development for $65,000 of MPO target funding under the name Fare Collection System Upgrades for Americans with Disabilities Act and Dial-A-Ride customers. Now, this proposed change to increase the cost is entirely funded through state or non-federal funding sources to the tune of $230,000. The nature of the scope increase is that because of state funding that allows regional transit authorities in the Commonwealth currently to operate on a fare-free basis, CADA is proposing that instead of allocating funding to upgrade a fare collection system when they are not currently implementing fares, that these software upgrades for paratransit be implemented to better unify their paratransit Dial-A-Ride software and a what is currently separate software system that CADA is utilizing to support a pilot microtransit system that they're operating. So the point of this change here is to take what is currently two separate items for software management, unify it under one management to make it so that the system operates more efficiently and reduces wait times for those seeking to use these on-demand services provided by the Transportation Authority. And again, this cost increase of $230,000 is entirely from non-federal funding sources. On the next slide, this takes us into the Community Transit Grant Awards. These are each vehicle procurements for community transit grants, one for the Town of Wenham's Council on Aging for $83,684 for a Type A vehicle, and also another Type A vehicle, this time for the City of Lynn, for that same amount of $83,684. The Somerville, Cambridge, Medford, or SCM Community Transportation was awarded $112,852 to purchase one Type E vehicle, and the City of Quincy Council on Aging was provide funding to purchase 4 low-floor vehicles for $794,800. On the slides here, for the funding sources, it's worth noting that for this City of Quincy project and the Somerville, Cambridge, Medford project, they are using, quote, other non-federal funding sources. Other non-federal sources can include funding sources that are neither local match from the city budget or state match, but also sources such as nonprofit operating revenues or philanthropic donations. So this question has come up before when we've noted other non-federal as a source for these projects. That just explains what that tag means. On the next slide, we do have another project using that other non-federal funding designation, this one for the City of Melrose Council on Aging, for one low-floor vehicle acquisition for $198,720. We then have the Town of Burlington Council on Aging for one Type E2B vehicle for $118,174, and 2 projects for the Metro West Regional Transit Authority, one for the purchase of 2 Type E vehicles for $225,702, and one for the purchase of 3 Type E2A vehicles for $372,727. So with that, on the next slide, again, because this is an adjustment, MPO staff are requesting that the board votes to endorse Adjustment 3 outright, as it does not require a 21-day public comment period. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Ethan. Questions for Ethan? Lynn Diggins.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Mr. Chair. As a transit guy, I'm really happy to see all these. And with respect to what CADA did, with the software request, I really like that kind of bold pivoting, and forward-looking and thinking, process, or attitude, because I think, trying to make things more efficient, reducing wait times, and also doing that pilot for microtransit is really good. And even though the percentage increase is huge, the dollar amount, compared to other things is relatively small. So I'm really thrilled about that one. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Ethan? Seeing none, can I get a motion in a second to approve this adjustment today? And as Ethan noted, this is the final action on this adjustment. It doesn't require a public comment period. Lynn Diggins.
as you might imagine, I'm happy to make a motion to approve this adjustment. Thank you.
Thank you. Tyler Terasi.
Tyler Terasi will second this motion.
Thank you very much. Motion having been made and seconded, please call the roll.
David Moeller,
Yes.
John Bouchard,
John Bouchard, yes.
John Romano is voting yes.
Thank
Sandy
you.
Johnston,
Sandy Johnson, yes.
Tyler Terasi,
Tyler Terasi, yes.
Eric Barassa,
Eric Barassa, yes.
Hannah Slitwikowski,
Hannah Switlikowski, yes.
Glenn Diggins,
Diggins, yes.
Jen Rowe,
Jen Rowe, yes.
Matt Moran,
Matt Moran, yes.
Monty,
Jay Monty, yes.
David Kozis,
Moses, yes.
Aaron Shute,
Aaron Shute, yes.
comment,
Tom Benton, yes.
Kristen Guichard,
Kristen Guichard, yes.
Dennis Shibetti, I will return. Darlene Nguyen,
Darlene Nguyen, yes.
I'll return there as well. Chris Diorio,
Diorio, yes.
Wait. Darlene Nguyen said yes. Did you not hear her?
Yeah, Darlene.
I have Roger. Thank you, Darlene Nguyen. I've acknowledged that vote. Dennis, I do not see on online. John, I do actually. And I'll return. And next, I'll call Rachel Benson. Rachel, audio hasn't quite come in. Like
She voted yes through the chat.
Technical. Oh,
yeah.
The chat. Thank you, David. Appreciate you. Tom O'Rourke.
Tom O'Rourke, yes.
Thank you. One final. John Strauss on this vote.
John Strauss votes yes.
Roger, and thank you. With that, the motion carries, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dave. Next item on the agenda is the public review policies. Annette Dimcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Annette Dempster, Director of Policy and Planning. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, you're there already. This federal fiscal year has been somewhat unique, where we've seen an unprecedented number of requests to shorten or waive public comment periods due to specific circumstances. So I'm here today to provide just a refresh of what our established public comment periods are for MPO certification documents, specifically the Long Range Transportation Plan, Transportation Improvement Program, Unified Planning Work Program, and Public Engagement Plan. Next slide, please. So the policies and requirements for public review periods for our certification documents are documented in our Public Engagement Plan, or PEP. Our policies were created through an extensive public engagement process and are essential to maintaining the transparency, public accessibility, and accountability of the public transportation planning and decision-making process. The review periods established in the Public Engagement Plan are in place to provide members of the public adequate time to share their perspectives directly with you on issues that might otherwise have limited public participation opportunities. Our policies are informed by the federal public participation requirements, which can be found in Title 23, Section 450 of the Code of Federal Regulations, specifically Section 450.316 for those of you who want to look it up, which state that MPOs need to develop a process for providing all interested parties with reasonable opportunities to be involved in metropolitan transportation planning processes. The federal regulations Also require that MPOs include policies to provide, in quotes, adequate time for public review and comment at key decision points, including a reasonable opportunity to comment on the proposed items, in parentheses, plans, in their public engagement plans. Next slide, please. In order to meet the federal requirements and provide adequate time for all interested parties to provide comment, our public engagement plan requires multi-week public review periods for our certification documents prior to their endorsement. 21 days for the TIP and UPWP, 30 days for the long-range transportation plan, and 45 days for the public engagement plan. Next slide, please. Similarly, our public engagement plan includes the same multi-week public review periods for amendments to the certification documents, with one exception for the UPWP. So we have 21 days for TIP amendments, 30 days for long-range transportation plan amendments, and 45 days for public engagement plan amendments. There is no federal requirement for a public review period for UPWP amendments. Next slide, please. Federal requirements also allow a reduction in the length of or waiving public review periods for amendments to the TIP and LRTP under two types of special circumstances. The first, defined as extreme circumstances, such as unforeseen regulatory requirements, and the second, emergency circumstances, such as a need to take immediate action to protect public safety or take advantage of an extraordinary funding opportunity. Next slide, please. The public engagement plan makes provisions to reduce the public review periods for TIP and LRTP amendments to 15 days for extreme circumstances. It also makes provisions for emergency circumstances to completely waive the public review period altogether. According to federal requirements, the public comment period for amendments to the public engagement plan cannot be reduced for the 41-day minimum. Next slide, please. So the policies in our public engagement plan are designed to provide members of the public adequate time to adequate time to comment, and you adequate time to consider these comments. The minimum 15-day public review period, which can be utilized in extreme circumstances, was established with that in mind. The timeline on this slide shows that based on that requirement, voting to release an item at one MPO meeting and endorsing it at the next does not allow members of the public, but the public engagement plan has established as adequate time to review the materials and share their perspectives with you before endorsing the document. Next slide, please. And with that, I turn it back to the chair, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Annette. Question for Annette? Seeing none, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is member items. Are there any today? Seeing none, can I get a motion in a second? Oh, wait, Eric Barassa, do you have an item?
I do. So I did hear back from our legal counsel, Margie, and she said that we can meet in executive session when there is an issue around potential litigation affecting the MPO. So, so Mr. Chair, maybe we can talk offline or at the next agenda setting about how we will approach that.
Okay. Jim Rowe, do you have an item?
Just didn't get my hand up quick enough. Just wanted to quickly thank Annette and MPO staff for clarifying our public review options. I know Boston played a role in some of the confusion. Apologize for that, and really grateful to have the memo as a reference if we encounter unforeseen circumstances like we saw again in the fall.
Thank you. And I would note for the record that Dave Hong has put something in the chat about the Massachusetts Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Board is seeking members. Any other member items? Seeing none, can I get a motion in a second to adjourn? And please state your name for the record when making the motion. Eric Barassa.
Eric Barassa, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Tom Ben.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, without objection, we are adjourned. See you all next meeting, which I think is in 2 weeks. Bye, everybody.